Part 10. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 91. Shen Tianxing immediately stopped them. Zhanghua, Haishan, Lingfeng, please wait a moment. Zhanghua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng all looked at her. Zhanghua asked, Tianxing, what's wrong? Shen Tianxing took out 3 peace talismans from the life space and gave each of them one. This is the peace talisman I made myself. You can wear it close to your body to keep you safe. Remember, you must keep it close to your body, take it with you and don't let it get wet. The talisman will be useless if it gets wet, you know. Ever since they experienced the Zhang family incident, Wu Haishan, Zhanghua and Gao Lingfeng had a blind respect for Shen Tianxing. When they heard her say that this was the peace charm she had made herself, the 3 of them knew that it was a treasure worth millions of dollars. The 3 of them quickly reached out to take it and carefully put it into their trouser pockets. Wu Haishan pressed it hard and grinned at Shen Tianxing. Oh, with this peace charm from Master Tianxing, I won't be afraid even if I travel all over the world. Shen Tianxing glared at him angrily. This is just for you as a precaution. Don't be careless. Once everything happens, it will be difficult to deal with. Do you understand? Wu Haishan smiled naively at her again and said, I understand, hey, that's what I said, I will never mess around, Tianxing, don't worry. Shen Tianxing smiled and said, okay, you go and rest for a while. We will go out to play again at 2:30 in the afternoon. The 3 people responded in unison, okay. No problem. The 3 boys, who were tired from playing, returned to their respective guest rooms and fell asleep. They slept until 2:30. Seeing that they were still awake, Shen Tianxing came to wake them up again, and they got up in a hurry. When the 3 older boys opened the door and saw Shen Tianxing, they were a little embarrassed. Wu Haishan scratched his head naively and said with a smile, sorry, Tianxing, we overslept. Shen Tianxing smiled softly at him and said, it's okay, you guys wash your faces quickly and wake up, and then we'll get ready to set off. Wu Haishan and the other 3 cheered up and immediately said, okay, please wait for us first, we will come right away. Shen Tianxing took another look at Wu Haishan's face and found that his yintang was darker now. He was about to be in trouble. But she still didn't explain it directly to him, just because she was afraid that they would be worried and it would not be fun to play for a while. Anyway, as long as she is here, she will not let anything happen to them. If any monsters dare to harm people, she will kill them directly. After they came out, Shen Tianxing took them to play bumper cars and a pirate ship, and then, at Wu Haishan's request, they were going to go bungee jumping. Zhanghua didn't like this kind of extreme sports that challenged the heart, but Wu Haishan insisted on playing. He couldn't displease his friends, so they climbed onto the bungee jumping platform together. At this time, there were still many people queuing and waiting on the high platform. Hearing the crazy and frightened screams of those who were playing, some looked eager to try, while others were so frightened that they shook their heads. No matter how much their companions persuaded them, they did not dare to play this sport. The staff responsible for guarding Jiao Tai are 2 young men from Shen Tianxing's village, named Shen Kong and Shen Qiang. They are still brothers. As soon as Shen Kong and Shen Qiang saw the eldest lady coming with her friends, they hurried forward and said, Miss, you are here. Shen Tianxing smiled at them, there are quite a lot of people today, thank you for your hard work. Shen Kong and Shen Qiang quickly said, Miss, we don't have to work hard, it's not hard. Shen Tianxing pointed at Wu Haishan, my classmate also wants to play this, please help him arrange it. Shen Kong immediately replied, no problem, I can let him play first right away. Shen Tianxing saw that there were only 3 or 4 guests queuing up to play, but there were more people watching. They were not in a hurry. There was no need to make the guests unhappy by jumping in line. Shen Tianxing said to Shen Kong, let them come first to play. We'll be fine later. Wu Haishan also nodded and said, yes, yes, let them play first, we will be fine after a while. Shen Tianxing gave him a thumbs up, while Wu Haishan winked at her. Seeing Shen Tianxing and Wu Haishan's flirting looks, Gao Lingfeng felt secretly unhappy, a little sour, and a little bitter. He still doesn't know that he has developed the kind of affection that only exists between men and women for this good classmate in front of him. When he finally understood his thoughts one day, he found that there was already a man protecting her by her side. That man was so outstanding that he felt inferior and had no choice but to retreat no matter how unwilling he was. The three guests in front quickly took turns bungee jumping. When it was finally Wu Haishan's turn, the guy laughed loudly at Gao Lingfeng and said, Lingfeng, why don't you come too and let's play together? Gao Lingfeng shook his head, I'm not interested in this. He has a slight fear of heights. If it weren't for Shen Tianxing's presence, he would never have climbed to such a high place to play with this thing with him. Wu Haishan said softly, okay, if you don't want to play, then I will play alone. Master, come on. Shen Kong helped Wu Haishan fasten the protective seat belt, and pulled it a few times. After making sure it was securely tied, Shen Kong asked Wu Haishan, little brother, are you ready? Playing this is very exciting. Wu Haishan opened his arms to face the wind and responded loudly, I'm ready. Shen Kong couldn't help but smile when he saw his expression of despair, okay. Little brother, then jump bravely. Wu Haishan shouted, I'm coming, and jumped straight down. Ah 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 ah. Everyone also laughed when they heard his fierce screams of excitement and a hint of fear. Wu Haishan played it once and it was not enough, so he played it a second time and a third time. If Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng hadn't forced him to leave, saying they wanted to play a real-life CS field game, he still wouldn't have left. Real-life CS field battle games, like bungee jumping, are both newly emerging sports at this time. The real-person CS field battle game puts on military uniforms and imitates the combat methods of soldiers. It can allow men, women, and children who have military dreams to have fun together. It can also enhance team awareness, hone personal will, and experience it again through this game. Let's talk about the training methods of the troops. Since Shen's ecological manor developed the real-person CS field game project, many young men and women come to play every day. When Shen Tianxing, Zhang Hua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng arrived at the field base in the back mountain, they happened to meet a group of young men and women with aloof and cold arrogance between their brows, looking for someone to form a team to fight. Dominating the powerful families, Rebirth of the strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 92. This team was worried about having no opponents, but when they saw the four men of Shen Tianxing walking over, their eyes suddenly lit up. There are exactly 4 people on Shen Tianxing's side, and 6 people on their side. 10 people can be divided into 2 teams for a confrontation match. I just wonder if the people on Shen Tianxing's side are willing to form a team with them. Master Fu, go talk to them. Yes, Mr. Fu, with your charm, you will definitely be able to conquer them. Young Master Fu, look at the girl taking the lead. She's very pretty and dewy. We might as well take the opportunity to get to know her. A woman with heavy makeup on their side suddenly felt uncomfortable when she heard the man on her side praising Shen Tianxing for being beautiful. She also shouted, "What's good? You men are just superficial. When you see a prettier woman, you are like flies seeing incense. You buzz around her shamelessly." Another man named Jin Daifu started talking nonsense again when he saw his sister. When he saw Master Fu's face darkening at that moment, he slapped his sister Jin Xiaoai's arm hard and cursed softly, "Xiaoai, what are you talking about? Shut up." Jin Xiaoai, however, pouted in confusion and snorted dissatisfied, "Am I right? You men like to use your lower body to think about things, huh?" At this moment, Young Master Fu raised his eyes, glanced at Jin Xiaoi coldly, and shouted word by word, "Jin Xiaoi, if you don't want to play, get out of here." As soon as Jin Xiaoi heard what Mr. Fu said, she trembled with fear and hid behind her brother Jin Deifu, not daring to say another word. The young Master Fu in front of them was named Fu Kaofan. The Fu family is also considered a relatively well-known wealthy person in Sioux City. The company's main business is diamonds, jewelry, and jade ornaments. Fu Kaofan's family was rich and he was handsome. Many wealthy daughters from Sioux City had their eyes on him and wanted to marry him. This Jin Xiaoi is no exception. Fu Kaofan is the only son of the Fu family. He has been doted on by his parents and the three sisters above him since he was a child. He has naturally developed an arrogant attitude. He does nothing on weekdays and likes to go out and look for food, drink, and fun. Place. He knows all the delicious and fun things hidden in any street or alley in Sioux City. Fu Kaofan is also generous. Wherever he goes to eat, drink and have fun, he basically pays for it. His little friends follow him and they can eat, drink and have fun. I don't know how happy they are. Fu Kaofan became addicted to the real-life CS field game base in Shen's ecological manor once, and he liked to drag a few friends over to play this real-life CS field game. It was the same today. Young Master Fu suddenly got interested in having fun, so he grabbed a few of his friends who usually hang out together and came straight here. When Fu Kaofan and the others were looking at Shen Tianxing and the others, Shen Tianxing was also looking at them secretly. But when Shen Tianxing saw that among Fu Kaofan's group, there were actually 2 men and 1 woman whose heads were covered with a thick black aura, she was suddenly shocked. If these young men and young ladies really died in their Shen family's ecological manner, then the Shen family might really be doomed. But they don't know whether today's incident was man-made? Or will there really be evil spirits born to harm people? A hint of coldness flashed across Shen Tianxing's eyes. Regardless of whether the other party is a human or a ghost, now that she has discovered it, she will not let their conspiracy succeed. At this moment, Fu Kaofan had led his companions to Shen Tianxing, raised his chin slightly, and asked Shen Tianxing with a look of arrogance, "Girl, are you here to play the real person CS field game too?" In normal times, Shen Tianxing would have ignored such an arrogant and unreasonable guy. But now, 3 of the other party's companions have black energy wrapped around their heads. If she ignores them and lets them die here, their eco-manor will be severely damaged in the end. Shen Tianxing suppressed his temper and nodded lightly, "Yes, you too." Fu Kaofan took a deep look at Shen Tianxing. While he was amazed by her exquisite and beautiful appearance and temperament, he was also surprised by her coldness and alienation. Ordinary people, no matter where they are, would try their best to come forward to curry favor with these young men and ladies when they see them dressing up in extraordinary clothes and driving nice cars. But what about this little girl? Looking at her appearance, it seemed like she didn't want to see them. However, he only attributed Shen Tianxing's behavior as a way for women to play hard to get at men. Instead, he secretly thought in his heart that he wanted to see how long Shen Tianxing could maintain his cold and indifferent appearance. Fu Kaofan asked Shen Tianxing again, "We want to form a team with you to play a competitive match. Are you interested?" Shen Tianxing did not answer directly, but turned to ask Zhang Hua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng for their opinions. "Do you 3 want to play with them?" Before the 3 of them could answer, Jin Xiaoi said sternly, "It's your honor that our young Master Fu is willing to invite you. Don't be so shameless." Shen Tianxing and the others were speechless after hearing this. They were too lazy to pay attention to such an idiot woman and didn't even look at her. She asked Zhang Hua and the others again, "If you don't want to form a team with them, then we can play by ourselves." Zhang Hua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng all came from good families. When they saw each other's arrogant and domineering appearance, they felt conflicted and did not want to play with these people. So Zhang Hua replied, "No one is familiar with it, so let's play by ourselves. Shen Tianxing nodded, okay, let's play by ourselves. She said apologetically to Fu Keofan, I'm sorry, let's just have our own fun. After saying that, she nodded to Fu Keofan and led Zhanghua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng into the hall of the field base to change their clothes. As soon as Huang Li, the female manager at the field base, saw their eldest lady coming, she hurriedly greeted her, Miss, why are you here? Shen Tianxing smiled at her and said, bring a few classmates over to have fun. Please help us bring 4 new sets of clothes and equipment. The field uniforms and field equipment they have here can be rented or purchased. Oriole nodded immediately, okay, just wait a moment, I'm going to prepare. While Shen Tianxing and the others were sitting in the lobby waiting, Fu Keofan also led their group in. When they saw the 4 Shen Tianxing, they all had a hint of dissatisfaction and contempt. Especially Jin Xiaoai, who loves to cheat and find sex. As soon as she saw Shen Tianxing's delicate and beautiful face, she became angry and jealous, and wanted to stab Shen Tianxing severely. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 93. This was what she was thinking, and her mouth started to beep. Some people just don't know how to show appreciation. We, Mr. Fu, are so proud of us, but they still pretend to be arrogant, thinking that this will help them. Did you attract our young Master Fu's attention? Haha, what an idiot. I don't know who is the idiot. A trace of sarcasm and sneer flashed in Shen Tianxing's cold eyes. She didn't argue with this brainless woman either. For her, if you can do it, you will never beep. Shen Tianxing directly pinched his hands to tell the secret. An invisible evil spirit instantly turned into a thin needle and attacked Jin Xiaoai's right hand. Soon, Jin Xiaoai discovered with horror that her hands were out of control. The next moment, she raised her hand and gave herself a loud and crisp slap with a pop sound. Before anyone could react, she had already slapped herself more than 10 times with both hands from left to right, until her face was red and swollen like a pig, and then she stopped. Her brother Jin Deifu and her companions were stunned as they watched her slap herself so hard and so hard. After coming back to his senses, Jin Deifu asked her with a worried look on his face, Xiaoai, what's going on with you? Why do you have to hit yourself? Are you a fool? Jin Xiaoai was feeling extremely aggrieved and angry at this time. After she felt that she could use her hands freely again, she cried loudly at her eldest brother and Fu Keofan. You, brother, Mr. Fu, I didn't want to hit myself. I couldn't control my hands just now, as if someone was controlling my body. I'm so scared. There must be goblins causing trouble here. Woo-woo-hoo, you have to make the decision for me. Speaking of this, Jin Xiaoai suddenly raised her eyes to look at Shen Tianxing, and met Shen Tianxing's sarcastic eyes. Jin Xiaoai immediately directed her anger towards Shen Tianxing, pointed her finger and shouted loudly, Brother, Master Fu, I'm sure it must be this little bitch who did it. She must have come out of some ravine. The fairy. It must be her. It must be her. When Fu Keofan, Jin Deifu and the others heard this, their eyes of shock, fear and curiosity were instantly cast on Shen Tianxing. They all secretly guessed in their hearts that it was Jin Xiaoai who scolded her just now. Although they didn't name her by name, everyone knew clearly. Could it be that this extremely good-looking little girl was really responsible? Could it be that she is really a fairy in disguise? Before Shen Tianxing could reply, her companions Zhanghua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng were so angry that they stood up. Wu Haishan was the first to speak out, and scolded him back sternly, You ugly monster, what are you talking about? Where did our Tianxing provoke you? Looking at your ugly face, no wonder you even I can't stand it, You know you're stupid and cheap, so you slap yourself in the face, right? Zhang Hua, who has always been good-tempered, couldn't help but defend Shen Tianxing. Our Tianxing is a great beauty that everyone loves. She's not like some ugly monsters who even support men. I'm afraid no one wants her. Even Gao Lingfeng, who had always been taciturn, sneered and joined the scolding group. Our Tianxing is obviously a little fairy with powerful spiritual energy, but she is regarded as a goblin by others. Some people are obviously taking it seriously. But he pretends to be blind, haha, he really has eyes and no beads. When Shen Tianxing heard the three boys scolding each other, they were no worse than women quarreling. He suppressed the urge to laugh wildly in his heart and gave them a thumbs up. Seeing the three of them defending her like this, she felt warm in her heart. The acquaintance and interaction between people depends on fate. She is lucky to meet such a good classmate, and she will definitely cherish it. Jin Xiaoi, who was already angry and hateful, was so angry that she almost vomited blood when she heard Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng's merciless retorts, and started crying wow 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 loudly. When he saw her crying so much that her face was covered with makeup, Jin Deifu, as the elder brother, was also extremely angry. He glared at Shen Tianxing, Wu Haishan and others with evil eyes, and said in a deep voice, "You guys are really sharp-tongued, but is it too much for three men to attack a woman?" Wu Haishan said quickly, "Oh, please be careful with your wording and don't ruin our reputation. The three of us are still boys." Shen Tianxing, who looked indifferent, was almost amused by Wu Haishan's words. The corners of her mouth twitched and she suppressed her laughter again. Although Jin Deifu was not very smart, he was not put off by Wu Haishan's inexplicable counterattack. "I don't care whether you are men or boys. In short, you three men are arguing with a woman. That's it, no grace." Wu Haishan still wanted to argue with him, but Shen Tianxing stopped him with his hand. She frowned slightly and asked Jin Deifu calmly, "Then what do you want? Draw a line and play whatever you want, and we can follow it, okay? But don't blame her, an immortal cultivator, for bullying ordinary people, they all asked for it. Dare to come in front of her and ask for abuse. If she doesn't help them, how can she be embarrassed?" Jin Deifu looked at Fu Kaofan and asked him in a low voice with a flattering look on his face, "Master Fu, how do you think this matter is going to be resolved? No matter whether we are advancing or retreating, as long as you say something, I will listen to you." Fu Kaofan's original intention was to play a real-person CS field game with Shen Tianxing, and then build a relationship with her so that he could play with her again in the future. In his impression, whether it is a woman or a girl, if you want to chase them, you always start with eating, drinking, and having fun. Then, everyone has fun and goes to bed. Fu Kaofan gave Shen Tianxing a smile that he thought was pretty, and suggested to her, "Why don't we have a field game? The winning side can make a reasonable request to the losing side. What do you think?" Shen Tianxing responded without hesitation, "No problem." Fu Kaofan didn't expect that Shen Tianxing actually agreed, and couldn't help but be overjoyed. "Okay, then it's decided. We also have 5 people here. Can you gather enough 5 people over there?" At this moment, a group of gangsters wearing black clothes and black hoods broke in. They directly took out their pistols, pointed them at the people in the hall of the field base, and shouted angrily, "Squat down for me and put your hands on your head. Hurry up." Everyone in the hall, except Shen Tianxing, was all frightened by this sudden disaster. Dominating the powerful families, Rebirth of the strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 94. When the gangsters saw most of them, they squatted down obediently and held their heads with their hands. Just when they were feeling a little proud, they discovered that there was also a very pretty little girl, who stood aside with a face on her face. There was no sign of fear on his face, as if he didn't take them seriously at all. These gangsters instantly felt that their dignity had been seriously challenged. One of them, a tall and strong man in black, walked towards Shen Tianxing step by step with heavy steps. Wu Haishan and the three of them had already squatted down when the gangsters shouted at them to squat down. At this time, when Wu Haishan saw the gangster walking towards Shen Tianxing, he was afraid that the gangster would hurt Shen Tianxing, so he quickly reached out and pulled Shen Tianxing's sleeves, and motioned her to squat down with his eyes. But how could someone as proud as Shen Tianxing allow himself to give in front of these scum? She patted Wu Haishan's hand gently and gave him a look to reassure them that they would just watch her deal with these scum. The gangster walked up to Shen Tianxing and stood in front of him. He looked at Shen Tianxing up and down, and then said to Shen Tianxing in his hoarse and harsh voice, "You are quite bold, little girl. Since you want to stand up and be the leader, if you are the first person, don't blame me for not knowing how to show mercy to others." The gangster who wanted to teach Shen Tianxing a profound lesson, after saying these words, immediately raised the gun in his hand, pointed it at Shen Tianxing's thigh, and ruthlessly pulled the trigger. When Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng saw that the gangster was going to hurt Shen Tianxing, they all stood up and shouted at him, "Stop!" Just when they wanted to rush out and fight the gangster, they felt as if their bodies were suppressed by something and they couldn't move. After the gangster pulled the trigger, he watched the bullet whizzing out of the chamber, and waited with excitement to see the bullet make a hole in Shen Tianxing's thigh, and then blood spattered everywhere. Every time he kills a hostage, he will feel a crazy blood-devouring pleasure. This crazy pleasure was like a drug addiction, making him unable to stop. But this time, he miscalculated. When the bullet he shot flew into the middle, it suddenly made a 360-degree turn, reversed its direction, and shot back at him at high speed. Porphyrin. The sound of bullets entering the body instantly made the gangster's eyes widen in shock. The next moment, the gangster felt sharp pains coming from his thigh, causing him to uncontrollably let out painful wails. The other leg was no longer able to support his tall body, and he fell to the ground. Everyone in the hall was stunned by this dramatic reversal. When Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng saw this scene, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Tianxing is indeed a master, he knocked down this gangster with one move. When the other gangsters saw that the gangster had fallen, they screamed one by one, raised their pistols, and treated Shen Tianxing as a target. They shot at her crazily, hoping to blow Shen Tianxing's body into a big mess in one fell swoop. Sieve. Bullets roared out one after another. But the same weird scene happened again. The bullets that were discharged from the chamber bounced back towards the gangsters without exception. Porphyrin. 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 One after another, the gangsters fell to the ground. They still wanted to struggle and resist, but they encountered Shen Tianxing's strong suppression again, and Shen Tianxing sealed their acupuncture points with spiritual power. One is to prevent them from resisting again. The second is to prevent them from bleeding to death. When these gangsters found that their bodies could not even move, their inner fear and fear of death instantly overwhelmed their thoughts. They could only fall to the ground like wounded beasts, crying and wailing endlessly. Shen Tianxing took out his mobile phone and called his second uncle Shen Wenzheng. Shen Wenzheng took out his cell phone when it rang. As soon as he saw the call from Shen Tianxing, he immediately picked up the call. "Hey, Xiao Xing, did something happen again?" Shen Tianxing replied in a deep voice, "Second uncle, something happened again at the field base of our ecological manor. A group of armed robbers came here just now. There are 7 people in total. I have subdued them now. Send someone over quickly. Take them back for trial." When Shen Wenzheng heard that something happened again in the Eco Manor, he immediately cursed in his heart, "Damn, which bastard did something to the Shen family again this time?" When Shen Tianxing said that he had subdued them, Shen Wenzheng was secretly grateful. Fortunately, his little niece was very powerful. Otherwise, he really didn't know how it would end. Shen Wenzheng immediately replied, "Okay, I will bring someone over to deal with them." He asked again worriedly, "Xiao Xing, are you okay?" Shen Tianxing smiled and replied, "I'm fine. I'm fine. Second uncle, don't worry." Shen Wenzheng breathed a sigh of relief, "As long as you're fine, just wait for me and I'll rush over as soon as possible." Shen Tianxing responded obediently, "Okay, second uncle, see you later." "See you later." After Shen Wenzheng hung up the phone, he immediately organized people and drove with him towards the field base of Shen's ecological manor. Before waiting for Shen Wenzheng and others to arrive, Shen Tianxing opened his eyes to these gangsters again. She saw a young man with oily hair and pink face, sitting in a private room of a tea house, making a deal with the gangster who first attacked her. The oily-haired young man took out a suitcase containing 1 million and pushed it to the gangster. Along with it, there was a color photo of Fu Keofan. Then, he said to the gangster, "Boss Zhang, this is a 1 million deposit. When the matter is completed, I will pay you another 1 million. Remember, I want him dead." Boss Zhang took a look at the money in the suitcase, picked up 2 stacks and flipped through them. When he saw that they were all real money, he pulled the lid of the suitcase and said to the oily-haired young man, "I understand, just wait my good news." Only then did Shen Tianxing suddenly realize that the target of these gangsters was Fu Keofan. "I just don't know who this man with oily hair and pink noodles is. Why did he want to deal with Fu Keofan? And directly wanted his life?" Thinking of the man with oily hair and pink face, who had similar facial features to Fu Keofan, a thought suddenly flashed in Shen Tianxing's mind. Could it be that the man with oily hair and pink face was Fu Keofan's brother? Some wealthy families are glamorous on the outside but filthy on the inside. Many brothers and sisters who were originally close to each other end up fighting each other and killing each other in order to compete for the huge family property. Dominating the powerful families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 95. And this oily-faced man spent such a high price to hire these gangsters to kill Fu Keofan. Maybe that's the reason. I just don't know if Fu Keofan, who looks arrogant, knows that someone is working behind his back to harm him. Shen Tianxing felt a little sympathetic to him when he thought of the murderous intent that surrounded him, but he still had no idea and was just having fun. Step by step, she walked to stand in front of Fu Keofan. After experiencing the magical scene just now, Fu Keofan and the others looked at Shen Tianxing differently, filled with curiosity, worship, and admiration for her. Even Jin Xiaoai, who hated Shen Tianxing, and Jin Deifu, who just wanted to find justice for his sister, had already silently acquiesced in defeat and did not dare to make any small moves against Shen Tianxing. Although Fu Keofan is a bit arrogant and likes to eat, drink and have fun, he is also a person with a clear distinction between love and hate. At this time, he looked at Shen Tianxing with gratitude and bowed deeply to Shen Tianxing, "Little heroine, thank you for saving our lives. I, Fu Keofan, will remember this kindness." Shen Tianxing glanced at him indifferently and said, "Fu Keofan, do you know that these gangsters today are actually here for you? What they want today is your life. We are just tired of you." "Huh? What did you say? Are they coming for me?" Fu Keofan's eyes widened in disbelief and he hurriedly defended, "This is impossible. I have always been generous and have never offended anyone. Who would want my life? Little heroine, are you made a mistake?" Shen Tianxing didn't bother to say anything more to him. He directly reached out and pressed Fu Keofan's yintang, transmitting the scene she saw from the sky into his head. When Fu Keofan felt Shen Tianxing's fingertips touching his yintang, he thought Shen Tianxing wanted to do something to him. He was secretly excited. In his mind, he saw the scene that Shen Tianxing transmitted to him. Shocking and angry picture. Fu Fan saw in his mind the man who looked 56 times similar to his own. Seeing that he would pay such a high price to kill him, Fu Fan was filled with hatred. In his heart, he vaguely understood something, and he felt a very strong sense of uneasiness. However, he couldn't believe this cruel fact. His parents have always been famous for their love, and they have always doted on him. No matter what he wants, they will satisfy him unconditionally. He also feels that he has always been happy, growing up in a honeypot at home. Fu Fan mingled in Suzhou City's upper-class society, and he also saw a lot of couples who seemed to be incompatible with each other, but they all lived their own lives outside, and there were many people who had illegitimate children and illegitimate daughters. But he always thought that their family was a very rare and harmonious family. The family loved each other and such disgusting things would never happen. But now, his belief was overturned. Could it be that all these beautiful things he thought were just a figment of his imagination? Shen Tianxing looked at his shocked expression, and couldn't help but ask him softly, "Do you know this person who wants your life?" Fu Fan's eyes were a little red, and he said in a choked voice, "I don't know him." Shen Tianxing reminded him, "Maybe you can go back and ask your parents to find out the reason. The Public Security Bureau will definitely investigate this matter." Fu Fan nodded and bowed to Shen Tianxing again. "Little heroine, Fu Fan, owe you a favor, and I will repay you in the future. I wonder what you call the little heroine? Where do you live? I can visit you some other time." Shen Tianxing smiled lightly and said, "My name is Shen Tianxing. This Shen's ecological manor is run by our family. If you are free, come over and play. Then we will form a team to play real-life CS." The gentle aura exuding from Shen Tianxing's body successfully calmed down the anger that had just arisen in Fu Fan's heart. He looked at Shen Tianxing with gratitude and nodded vigorously, "Okay, I will definitely come over after this matter is over, and I will thank you very much then." Shen Tianxing smiled lightly and said, "Okay." She said to them again, "You should sit down and rest for a while. I have already called the police. People from the Public Security Bureau will be here soon. You may have to go to the Public Security Bureau to record a statement." Fu Fan nodded, then quickly took out his business card and handed it to Shen Tianxing with both hands. "Sister, this is my business card. If you need anything or have any errands in the future, just call me. I, Fu Fan, will definitely go through fire and water and do my best." Shen Tianxing couldn't help but chuckle when he heard him call her eldest sister. This guy is so funny. She reached for his business card, glanced at his phone, and committed the number to memory before putting the card into her pocket. Seeing Fu Fan waiting eagerly and wanting her to give him a business card, Shen Tianxing smiled and said, "Sorry. I haven't printed the business card yet. How about I leave you a phone number?" Fu Fan was overjoyed. Okay. At this time, the female manager Huang Li handed Shen Tianxing paper and pen with great discernment. Shen Tianxing said thank you to her, picked up the pen and wrote down her mobile phone number in a swipe motion. Then, when she handed it to Fu Fan, she casually warned, "Call me if you have anything important to do. If there's nothing else, don't call." As if he had found a treasure, Fu Fan carefully put Shen Tianxing's mobile phone number into his pocket. After hearing Shen Tianxing's instructions, he responded repeatedly, I understand. I won't harass you if it's okay. Don't worry. All right." Shen Tianxing nodded, "Then you guys sit down for a while, I have something else to do." Fu Fan quickly responded, "Okay, you're busy. Shen Tianxing went to Huang Ori again and asked her to make a copy of the video of the incident and give it to Shen Wenzheng for handling the case. She and her second uncle Shen Wenzheng have worked together for many years and have a tacit understanding with each other. The second uncle naturally knows what to do with those videotapes. Not long after, Shen Wenzheng arrived at the field base with a group of national policemen from the Public Security Bureau. When Shen Tianxing saw that Shen Wenzheng and the others had finally arrived, he also stepped forward and shouted, "Second uncle." Shen Wenzheng looked at the group of gangsters lying on the ground with a serious face, and asked Shen Tianxing in a deep voice, "Xiao Xing, are these gangsters?" Shen Tianxing nodded, "That's them. There are 6 of them here, and one is in the car outside. He is also under my control. You handcuff them first, and then I will relieve their acupuncture points." The gangster outside who was in charge of driving had his acupuncture points sealed by Shen Tianxing using qi control needling. The gangster driver was slumped in the driver's seat in shock and fear, still waiting for his companions to rescue him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 96. Shen Wenzheng waved his hand and ordered his men, "Cuff them all." After Shen Tianxing saw that the gangsters were all handcuffed, he stepped forward to untie their acupuncture points, allowing them to regain control of their bodies. But she still kept the acupuncture points near the wound and set the effective time to prevent them from bleeding to death before they were sent to the hospital. When she fought back against them before, she specially selected their legs, firstly to prevent them from escaping, and secondly to make them suffer more. Shen Tianxing also specially warned Shen Wenzheng, "Second uncle, you must send them to the hospital for surgery within 2 hours. After 2 hours, the acupuncture points around the wound will be automatically untied, and then they will started bleeding profusely." Shen Wenzheng nodded and said, "Okay, I will take care of them." Shen Wenzheng also explained the instructions given by Shen Tianxing just now to Zhang Yuquan, the detachment leader who was in charge of leading the team, and then asked most of the accompanying people to follow Zhang Yuquan to escort the gangsters to the police car and send the gangsters to the hospital for treatment first. Wait until their injuries are stabilized, and then interrogate them severely. Finally, Shen Tianxing handed the copied video to Shen Wenzheng, "Second uncle, this is the video of the scene. Please keep it." She then quietly said to Shen Wenzheng via voice transmission, "I have just investigated. These gangsters are hired by others. The person who hired the murderer seems to be the illegitimate son of Fu Keofan's father. Fu Keofan is the man in Su City, the son of the owner of Fu's jewelry company. You must be right to check this." Shen Tianxing also transmitted the scene he saw with his heavenly eye into Shen Wenzhen's brain. After Shen Wenzheng read the content, he reached out and patted Shen Tianxing's shoulder gently, laughing and saying, "Little Xing, you have helped the second uncle a lot this time. Okay, the second uncle knows how to handle this matter." Shen Tianxing winked playfully at Shen Wenzheng again and asked him quietly, "Second uncle, if you still need any help, come to me." Shen Wenzheng also winked at her and laughed in a low voice, "Okay, if I need your help, the second uncle will not be polite to you." Alas, when will the second uncle be as powerful as little Xing? Shen Tianxing was amused by Shen Wenzhen's sad and helpless expression at the end. Ever since Shen Wenzheng and the others knew how powerful she was, Shen Wenzheng would sometimes ask for help from Shen Tianxing, asking her to help clean up these scum in society, and contribute to the stability of society and the safety of the people. For some criminal suspects who have a tough attitude and cannot pry their mouths open, they have many ways to pry their mouths open and will not let these scum escape the punishment of the law. For some national police officers who have outstanding performance and often fight on the front line, Shen Wenzheng also asked the highly skilled Shen Tianxing to train them to improve their combat effectiveness and physical strength, so that they can also reduce some casualties when they go into battle. Of course, under normal circumstances, they try their best to sweat more in peacetime and bleed less in wartime. However, since they had Shen Tianxing as a great helper in solving crimes, they have indeed improved a lot. Their abilities have improved, and naturally they have less worries. The Sioux City Public Security Bureau's crime detection rate is not only one of the best in the country, but its death-to-injury rate is also the lowest in the country. Shen Wenzhong asked his remaining men to quickly make on-site notes for Fu Keofan and others. After completing the notes, he asked the parties to sign and keep the records. After these things were finished, Shen Wenzhong took the remaining troops, said goodbye to Shen Tianxing in a hurry, and hurried back to the unit. Fu Keofan was eager to find his parents and ask for the truth. He had no intention of staying and playing anymore, so he hurriedly said to Shen Tianxing, "Sister, I'll come back later to thank you." After that, he drove away in a hurry with his companions. Just now, when the police car escorted the gangsters and roared away, Shen Tianxing saw that the black clouds covering Fu Keofan, Jin Xiaoi, and Wu Haishan also dissipated. Their death disaster was finally over. Shen Tianxing also breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Shen Tianxing suddenly received the golden light of merit from heaven. After her soul was fused with the golden light of merit, it became more solid and thicker, and the cultivation of her consciousness increased by a small amount in an instant. Shen Tianxing laughed with joy. From now on, she should show more kindness and save more people. God is quite generous and knows how to give her benefits. All the guests and the national police had left, leaving only Shen Tianxing, Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng, who looked at each other and sighed in unison. Shen Tianxing smiled and said to Wu Haishan, "Haishan, you had a big disaster today, but now you have passed it. As the saying goes, if you survive this disaster, you will have good luck in the future. Congratulations." Wu Haishan and Zhang Hua suddenly realized it and asked Shen Tianxing directly, "Is this why you gave us the peace charm before?" Shen Tianxing smiled and nodded, "I can't watch something happen to you, right? Although I'm right by your side, I'm afraid that I won't be able to take care of all of you, so I'll give one to each of you if you wear the Zhongpingan talisman with you from now on. You can also ward off evil spirits and ward off disasters." Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng all looked at Shen Tianxing with gratitude, and the three of them said in unison, "Tianxing, thank you." They are all good classmates, no need to be polite. After Shen Tianxing finished speaking, he asked them again, "Do you still want to play this real person CS field game now?" After experiencing the bloody incident just now, the spirits of the three older boys were a little wilted. Hearing Shen Tianxing's question, they all shook their heads, "No, let's play somewhere else." Shen Tianxing suggested to them, "How about we go to the orchard to pick fruits? There are a lot of fruits on the market during this time, including oranges, jujubes, cantaloupes, grapes, apples, etc. What fruits do you like to eat? We will. How about just going to any orchard?" "Okay, okay." Wu Haishan immediately raised his hand and said, "I like to eat cantaloupe." Zhang Hua said with a smile, "I like to eat crunchy and sweet jujubes." Gao Lingfeng then said, "I like eating grapes." Shen Tianxing smiled softly and said, "Then we will eat from orchard to orchard one by one. When we have eaten enough, we will pack another box for you. When you go back, we will take it back to your family to taste." Wu Haishan laughed, "Then why are we still walking around without food?" Shen Tianxing said nonchalantly, "As long as you can carry it, you can take a few more boxes." When the three of them came, they also brought a lot of gifts to her family. If they really like to eat these fruits, it would be just right to give them as gifts in return. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 97. While Shen Tianxing took Zhang Hua, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng around in one orchard after another, picking and tasting delicious fruits, Fu Keofan also rushed back to Fu's house in his luxury car. As soon as he entered the house and saw no one in the luxurious hall, he shouted loudly, "Mom, Mom, where are you? Mom!" Li Mei and the servant Tian Ma, who heard Fu Keofan's loud shouting, thought something serious had happened and hurriedly walked down from the second floor. Li Mei glanced at her precious son up and down with a scrutinizing gaze, and scolded her with a fond smile, "Oh, my little ancestor, what are you yelling about when you come back? Seeing how impatient you are, tell me. Did you do something bad outside again? Do you want your mother to come out to wipe your ass again?" When Fu Keofan heard what his mother said, his handsome face flushed slightly when he thought of some of his previous outrageous behaviors. But he soon thought of the face that was somewhat similar to his, and he felt angry again. When he saw Li Mei still looking so careless, as if she had no idea what bad things his father was doing outside, Fu Keofan couldn't help but feel sorry for his mother. He tried hard to hold back the violent temper in his heart, and said to his mother with a calm and handsome face, "Mom, come to the study with me. Ma Tian, please look at the door for me. If my father comes back, hurry up, tell us." When Tian Ma saw the young master's serious face, she immediately responded, "Yes." Li Mei looked at her son strangely, raised her eyebrows and asked softly, "Xiaofan, is something really wrong?" Fu Keofan reached out and took her hand, "Let's go to the study to talk." Li Mei followed Fu Keofan into the study in confusion. Seeing that Fu Keofan not only closed the door, but also carefully locked it, Li Mei couldn't suppress her curiosity and questions, and couldn't help but ask, "Xiaofan, what's going on? Tell me quickly." Fu Keofan asked her to sit down first, and then asked her in a deep voice, "Mom, do you know that your son and I were almost killed when I was outside today? If I hadn't been lucky enough to meet an expert who saved my life, what you see now is probably your son's body." "What did you say? Someone wants to kill you." Li Mei jumped up in fright, with a flash of coldness in her eyes, and asked sternly, "Who is it? Who dares to touch you? Let me see if I don't tear him apart." Fu Keofan chuckled lightly and asked sarcastically, "Mom, I'm afraid you don't know yet. The man who hired the murderer to kill me looks a lot like me. Could he be my best friend? Dad raised a good son outside, right? Does he think that after killing me, all the Fu family's property will be his?" Li Mei's face instantly darkened when she heard Fu Keofan's words. She thought about an old incident from that year, and then thought about the consequences of today, which actually endangered the life of her precious son. She was so angry that her head felt dizzy, and she felt that the blood pressure in her body was soaring. Fu Keofan looked at his mother's reaction and asked in surprise, "Mom, don't you know that my father has an illegitimate child outside?" A trace of bitterness and gloom flashed across Li Mei's well-maintained face. At this moment, her eyes were sore and dry, and she really wanted to cry. But she couldn't cry. Some people's attitude towards marriage is that once they are unfaithful, they will not be faithful 100 times. And she chose to be tolerant and considerate after Fu Junchen said all his kind words and begged for forgiveness. Over the years, she had been trying hard to forget the past, she had been trying hard to maintain the appearance of a loving couple with Fu Junchen, and she had been trying hard to persuade herself that her man only made a mistake temporarily, and as long as he was willing to repent, she would forgive him once. But her perseverance for more than 20 years, this time, in front of her precious son, in the eyes of that woman and the illegitimate child, seemed so ridiculous, so sad, so pitiful. Thinking about it now, she was so stupid back then that she was in such serious trouble today. She should have cut the knot quickly and kicked this cheating man out of the house. Li Mei was sad, angry, and extremely sad. Fu Keofan saw his mother's red and sad look, and quickly sat over, put his arms around his mother's shoulders, and said comfortingly, "Mom, don't be sad. You still have me and 3 sisters. Don't worry, our 4 siblings will always stand by your side. No matter what decision you make, we will fully support you." After hearing her son's words, Li Mei reached out to wipe the tears from her eyes, and regained her strong appearance. She has always had a strong and aggressive personality, and even at this point, she would never allow anyone to hurt her child. Li Mei said to her son with a hint of sternness, Xiao Fan, since that illegitimate son is so restless, let's just cut off his claws. I'll see how arrogant he can be. And your dad, this time, it involves you. I will never forgive him again. Fu Fan tentatively asked his mother, Mom, should we call the three sisters back and discuss it together to see what to do next? Li Mei nodded and said, call your sisters now and ask them to rush back to me right away. Okay, I'll hit you right now. Don't be angry. It's going to hurt your body. It's not just pain for loved ones, it's quick for enemies. It's not worth it. Li Mei felt warm in her heart after listening to her son's words. Although her precious son is delicious and fun, he has a good nature. Now he knows how to understand and comfort her. He knows how to make progress. As long as her son is fine and sensible, she has nothing to worry about. After Fu Fan finished persuading his mother, he quickly took out his mobile phone and called his eldest sister Fu Chaoying, second sister Fu Kaoxiu, and third sister Fu Chaoying one by one, asking them to come back immediately. There was something urgent at home and he needed to discuss it with them. When the three Fu sisters received the call, hearing the solemnity in Fu Fan's tone, they quickly put down what they were doing and drove home as fast as they could. Fu Fan's eldest sister Fu Chaoying and second sister Fu Kaoxiu are already married, and they are married to well-known wealthy families in Su City. His third sister Fu Chaoying is not yet married. But the three sisters all work at Fu's jewelry company. The eldest sister Fu Chaoying is the deputy general manager. The second sister Fu Kaoxiu is the financial manager. The third sister Fu Chaoying is the design director. Fu Fan's three sisters are completely different from him. He only knows how to eat, drink and have fun, but his three sisters are all like his mother's personality and are very powerful. The three of them have been top academics from childhood to higher education. After they graduated, they joined the company to help. Fu's jewelry company has developed so fast over the years, which is inseparable from the hard work, tacit understanding, and cooperation of the three sisters. Dominating the powerful families, rebirth of the strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 98. The three sisters of the Fu family, who received Fu Fan's call, quickly arrived at the Fu family. Tian-Ma led the three sisters to the study, served them tea, and then exited in a polite manner, continuing to guard the door and monitor the activities downstairs. As the eldest sister, Fu Chaoying has always been vigorous and resolute in her work. As soon as she entered the door, she asked straight to the point, Mom, Xiaofan, what happened? The second sister, Fu Kaoxiu, and the third sister, Fu Chaoying, entered the study room immediately after. They are also very smart and capable strong women. The three sisters looked at Li Mei and Fu Fan, hoping that they would talk to each other quickly and not let them look anxious and worry about them. Li Mei turned to look at her son sitting next to her, Xiao Fan, first tell your three sisters what happened today. Good. Fu Fan obediently told in detail how he went out to play today and encountered his father's illegitimate son who hired a murderer to kill him, but he was rescued by Shen Tianxing. After the three sisters of the Fu family listened, as expected by Li Mei and Fu Fan, the three sisters all felt angry. The boss, Fu Chaoying, was so angry that he straightened his sleeves and said with a fierce face, the mistress and her stupid son are really brave. They dare to touch our Xiaofan. I will definitely make them regret it. The second child, Fu Kaoxiu, snorted lightly, with a faint sneer hanging on the corner of his lips. She said bluntly, Sister, they dare to do this, where does the money for hiring murderers come from? I'm afraid our good father gave it to them. Fu Chaoying, the third child, also sneered, no way. If no one supports them, how can they be so rampant? When Fu Fan heard what his three sisters said, he took another look at his mother's even gloomier face, and couldn't help but cough lightly and said, "My three good sisters, please stop talking nonsense. Mom calls you three. I came back just to ask you three for advice on what to do next." The eldest son, Fu Chaoying, looked at her mother worriedly and asked cautiously, as if she was afraid of hurting her mother, "Mom, are you determined to live with your father this time? Or are you going to break up with him?" Then she followed up and said, "Mom, no matter what you want to do, our four siblings will definitely stand by your side and we will fully support you." The second and third children also expressed their opinions. "Sister, you are right, Mom, no matter how you want to live, we will support you." Li Mei looked at the three daughters and one son she had given birth to, all of whom were so considerate to her, and turned toward her. She felt that her life had not been in vain. She stretched out her hand to wipe her eyes, suppressed the turbulence in her heart, and said to the four siblings with a smile, "I have given in before, but this time, I will not give in again. I want to make a clean break with your father. I hope you can forgive me." Understanding. The boss Fu Chaoying waved his hand, "Of course we will understand and support you, but, Mom, when did my dad cheat on you? Why haven't we noticed it at all over the years? Dad has been pretending to be affectionate with you for most of the time. Has he hidden it too deeply in his life?" Li Mei sneered and said, "Yes, your dad is really good at pretending." She sighed softly and said quietly, "Your father cheated on me when I was pregnant with my third child. At the end of that year, my third mistress, Hong Yanyan, came to me with a pregnant belly, protested against me, and wanted to force me to abdicate." Speaking of the past, Li Mei felt that the scar she thought was healed was torn open again, making her feel physical and mental pain and dripping with blood. She clasped her hands tightly and let herself take a breath, as if she had regained her courage before continuing, "The mistress turned out to be your father's secretary. I don't know when they got involved. Your father is here." After knowing that the mistress had found me, he knelt in front of me and begged for forgiveness, saying that he was just drunk and confused, and he only slept with that woman once. He also gave her a sum of money and fired her. He never contacted her again, and he never thought that one day she would come to visit him again. I think he had a very good attitude in admitting his mistake at the time. I am a very strong-willed person and I love saving face. When I think of you kids, I forced your dad to break up with the mistress, and I swallowed this bad breath alive. If I had known that giving in that day would cause Xiaofan a big disaster today, I would never have given in. It's a pity that it's too late to say this now." Fu Chaoying nodded and said in a deep voice, "Now that things have come to this point, we, the mistress, and the illegitimate child can only fight to the end." Li Mei narrowed her eyes and said softly, "Even if I don't live with your father, I will never make it easy for them. I want to get back all the debt they have owed me for more than 20 years. Hearing their mother's sonorous words and looking at her strong face, the four siblings of the Fu family all said in unison, "Mom, we support you." Next, they discussed it. The first is to keep an eye on the progress of the Public Security Bureau to see if the Public Security Bureau can successfully solve the case, arrest the illegitimate child, and then give him a severe sentence. As long as the illegitimate child goes to jail, they will have a way to keep the illegitimate child in and out. The second is the divorce between Li Mei and Fu Junchen. Li Mei's natal family is also one of the most wealthy families in Su City. When she married Fu Junchen was still a poor boy from a worker's family. He wanted to start a business but had no funds. Finally, he met Li Mei, the daughter of a wealthy family, and successfully won her favor and married her. With the full support of Li Mei and her natal family, Fu Junchen founded Fu's Jewelry Company. When he was young, Fu Junchen was very good-looking, capable, and brave enough to fight. Under his hands, Fu's Jewelry Company quickly developed and expanded. In just a few years, it became one of Su City's top companies at that time. First-class enterprises and large taxpayers. But for Fu's Jewelry Company, because Li Mei's family provided most of the funds. At the request of the Li family, 55% of the shares of Fu's jewelry company were controlled by Li Mei. Fu Junchen himself only owns 30% of the shares. The remaining 15% is in the hands of other shareholders and retail investors. If Li Mei wants to divorce Fu Junchen, she must consider the development and future of Fu's jewelry company. To be honest, the couple's divorce must be very bad news for Fu's jewelry company. They can all foresee now that once the news of their couple's divorce is announced, the shares of Fu's jewelry company will definitely fall sharply. But will Li Mei continue to swallow her anger and live with Fu Junchen because of this? No. Absolutely impossible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Ju Yu. Chapter 99. This time, Li Mei will never give in. Her precious son has grown up, and her 3 daughters are all outstanding. As a mother, it's time for her to live a good life for herself. Li Mei also thought about it. For wealthy people like them, money is just a number. Even if the bad news about their couple's divorce will be somewhat detrimental to Fu's jewelry company, as long as there is good news in the future, Fu's jewelry company will definitely get back on its feet. Now I wonder if Fu Junchen is willing to let go of Fu's jewelry company. If he refuses to let go, the next battle will not be easy to fight, and it will be ugly if everyone starts to fight. Their family of 5 discussed how to collect evidence, how to file a divorce lawsuit, how to divide property, etc., and spent the entire afternoon discussing it. Madam, the master is back. It wasn't until Tian Ma knocked on the door to announce Fu Junchen's return that Li Mei and the children stopped discussing. The family looked at each other, and then Li Mei said to the siblings in a clear and concise manner, "Let's just discuss this for today. Let's pretend that nothing happened for the time being. I will follow up personally from the Public Security Bureau. Xiaoying, you are responsible for finding someone to collect evidence. Xiaoxiu, you are responsible for sorting out all the company's assets, and then I will have a direct showdown with your father." Fu Chaoying and Fu Caoxiu responded in unison, "Okay." Li Mei stood up first, "Let's go. Let's go down and see your good father. I wonder if he knows that something happened to Xiaofan? Does he know that it was his illegitimate son who did it?" Fu Caofan snorted coldly, "We'll find out if we go down and take a look." Ever since he found out that his good father who always doted on him had a mistress and an illegitimate daughter, Fu Caofan had already labeled his father as a cheating and heartless man. In the past, his deep attachment and love for his father, by this time it had all dropped to freezing point. Fu Junchen, who had just returned home from get off work, didn't know there had been a big earthquake at home. As he was changing his shoes and about to go upstairs, he saw his wife Li Mei and 4 children walking down the stairs. Fu Junchen looked at his wife and children and smiled gently, "I asked you 3 sisters why you all left early. It turns out you went home to see your mother. Yes, you are filial." If he said this normally, his daughters and sons would definitely act coquettishly around him to please him. But today, Fu Junchen saw his wife, son, and daughter all looking at him coldly. Although Li Mei and the others do not want to break up with Fu Junchen now before they have collected all the evidence, it is absolutely impossible for Li Mei and the children to treat Fu Junchen like before. As long as a thorn is planted in your heart, there will always be unstoppable pain. Fu Junchen sensed their defensiveness and hostility towards him from his wife and children. The gentle smile on his face slowly faded, and he asked Li Mei in a deep voice, Mei, what's wrong with you?" Li Mei responded calmly, "Nothing." Then, she said to her eldest daughter and second daughter, "You 2 go back first. Call me if you need anything." Fu Chaoying and Fu Caoxiu both responded, "Okay, let's go back first. Dad, Mom, goodbye." The third child Fu Chaoying and the fourth child Fu Kaofan are not married yet and live at home. Fu Junchen felt very uncomfortable and sad when he saw that his wife and children treated him like nothing. He had a bad feeling, as if he had been driven out of the family circle by his wife and son, and would never be able to integrate with them again. With Fu Junchen's shrewdness and ability, he was 100% sure that something must have happened in this family, but what on earth was going on? Who will talk to him? Fu Junchen suppressed the anger in his heart at being ignored by his family, walked to Li Mei, smiled again, and asked with a hint of flattery, Mei, what happened? Tell me quickly. Is it my place? Did you make a mistake? If you don't tell me, how can I correct it? Usually the couple had some minor problems, but as long as Fu Junchen put down his body and coaxed Li Mei would not care about him. But when he said this today, Li Mei felt even more nauseated. Looking at the hypocritical man in front of her, she really wanted to poke her eyes out. Why was she so blind before that she fell in love with such a duplicitous scumbag? Li Mei snorted and smiled coldly, if you really care about us, you should know what happened without asking us. After saying that, Li Mei walked away regardless of Fu Junchen's expression. Fu Junchen was left with a face sinking like water. Li Mei ignored him and only said to Tian Ma, make dinner quickly, we are all hungry. Tian Ma quickly responded, yes, I'll do it right away. Their family didn't want to have too many servants, so they didn't hire more servants. They only hired Tian Ma and a driver, Lao Wu. Tian Ma and the driver Lao Wu have both worked for the Fu family for more than 10 years. They have won the trust of Li Mei and Fu Junchen, and they are treated very well. As for the hygiene of Fu's garden and home, hourly workers are hired to take care of it. Fu Junchen's face became even more ugly when he saw that his wife ignored him, and his youngest daughter and son also turned a blind eye to him and went upstairs to their rooms. He went directly back to the study, took out his mobile phone, and called his right-hand assistant Wang Shen, hey, Wang Shen, go and check for me. Did my Xiaofan cause any trouble outside today? Check it out. Tell me immediately. Wang Shen is a retired special scout. He has always been responsible for investigating some matters for Fu Junchen, and also dealing with some matters that are inconvenient for Fu Junchen to come forward. When he heard Fu Junchen's instructions, he didn't say much and simply responded, yes, boss. Wang Shen's mobility is still very strong. Half an hour later, he fed back the news of Fu Kaofan's accident to Fu Junchen. But people at the Public Security Bureau are very tight-lipped, and Wang Shen hasn't found out yet that the man behind the murder was Fu Junchen's illegitimate son, Fu Chaoming. After Fu Junchen listened to Wang Shen's report and knew that someone was going to kill his precious little son, Fu Junchen also secretly blamed himself. He really didn't care about his children. He didn't even know that his son had such a big life-related incident. It's no wonder that his wife and children ignored him just now. Fu Junchen thought he had found the reason why his wife and children ignored him, but he didn't know that this incident was just a trigger. The real pain for him was still waiting behind him. Fu Junchen went downstairs again, but no matter how Fu Junchen tried to please his wife and children, all he got in return was their cold faces, which made Fu Junchen depressed and angry. The Public Security Bureau is also making rapid progress. Dominating the powerful families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 100. On the day of the incident, Shen Wenzheng and others asked the hospital to treat the injuries of the gangsters, and then directly interrogated them. Shen Wenzheng asked his men to use various strategies to defeat the gangsters, and pried their mouths open without even using the mantra charm. Shen Wenzheng led his troops overnight to arrest Fu Chaoming, Fu Junchen's illegitimate son, and then led his troops to interrogate Fu Chaoming overnight. Fu Chaoming was very cunning and had a strict mouth. No matter how Shen Wenzheng and the others asked, he would never admit that he was the murderer he hired. He thought that if he refused to admit it, others would have nothing to do with him. Shen Wenzheng and Zhang Yuquan felt a little agitated when they saw that Fu Xiaoming was a tough nut to crack for a long time. They had been staying up all day and night. Detachment leader Zhang Yuquan couldn't help but made a suggestion to Shen Wenzheng. Shen Bureau, I think this Fu Xiaoming is a guy who won't cry until he sees the coffin. Let's use a unique trick. Shen Wenzheng had already had this idea, but after hearing Zhang Yuquan's suggestion, he had no choice but to take out a mantra and quietly use it on Fu Xiaoming. With the help of the mantra talisman, when they interrogated Fu Xiaoming again, Fu Xiaoming was like a good boy. Whatever Shen Wenzheng and the others asked, he answered obediently, and poured beans into his stomach like a bamboo tube. All the dirty stuff was poured out. Fu Xiaoming not only revealed what happened to him about hiring a murderer this time, but he also revealed all the bad things he had done in the past, making those who interrogated him extremely happy. The reason why Fu Xiaoming wanted to hire a murderer to kill Fu Caofan was exactly as Fu Caofan and the others had guessed. He just wanted Fu Caofan to die. He thought that after Fu Caofan died, he would be Fu Junchen's only son. Fu Junchen would definitely take him into the Fu family, and he would become Fu Junchen's only property heir. He had a beautiful thought, but unfortunately, reality slapped him cruelly. Fu Caoming's dream was shattered and he even landed in jail. Once he entered, he didn't know if he would have a chance to get out of the prison again. When Fu Xiaoming was taken away by people from the Public Security Bureau overnight, Fu Junchen, who slept until midnight, also received a call from his mistress Hong Yanyan. As soon as Fu Junchen saw Hong Yanyan's caller ID, he glanced guiltily at his wife Li Mei lying next to him. He thought for a while and hung up the phone. Unexpectedly, Hong Yanyan immediately called again. He hangs up again. She hits again. Fu Junchen was furious when he saw Hong Yanyan's attitude of not giving up until he answered. He was afraid of waking up Li Mei, so he quickly got up, took his mobile phone, and walked to the balcony to listen to the call. Li Mei opened her eyes faintly and looked at Fu Junchen's back walking towards the balcony, with a sneer on her lips. As soon as Fu Junchen answered the phone, he scolded Hong Yanyan in a very dissatisfied tone and lowered his voice, "What do you want to do when you call me in the middle of the night?" Hong Yanyan cried in panic and said, "Husband, I don't want to disturb you. Something happened to Xiaoming. He was just arrested by the Public Security Bureau. Please help find a way. He is our son." As soon as Fu Junchen heard Hong Yanyan say that Fu Xiaoming was taken away by the police overnight, his heart skipped a beat. He asked sharply, what on earth did he commit? Why did the people from the Public Security Bureau arrest him? Hong Yanyan originally didn't want to tell him the truth, but then she thought that her son had been arrested by the police, and sooner or later this matter would be revealed and Fu Junchen would know about it. The only person who can save her son now is Fu Junchen, his father. Thinking of this, Hong Yanyan cried and said to Fu Junchen, "People from the Public Security Bureau said that Xiaoming is suspected of hiring a murderer. Husband, Xiaoming is so sensible and obedient. He will definitely not do such a thing. Please help me think about it. The solution is to get our son out quickly." As soon as Fu Junchen heard Hong Yanyan say that Fu Xiaoming was suspected of hiring a murderer, he felt like his brain was exploding. He then thought of Fu Caofan's encounter with gangsters committing murder today. How could Fu Junchen, a shrewd man, not understand what was going on? Now he really wants to strangle Hong Yanyan and Fu Xiaoming to death. As expected, the child secretly raised by this mistress cannot be brought to the forefront. They simply don't understand that if they do this, with Li Mei's strong and fierce temper, not only will they die, but he will also not end well. Back then, he did take advantage of Hong Yanyan because he was drunk. He didn't expect that he would sleep with Hong Yanyan once and she would become pregnant. After that incident broke out, he took advantage of Li Mei's weakness and begged her on his knees for who knows how long. His self-esteem and face as a man were trampled to the ground. Only then did he beg Li Mei for forgiveness. Over the years, he has worked hard to maintain this family. But now, everything he had worked so hard for was so easily ruined by these two brainless things. Fu Junchen was filled with hatred. But he didn't dare to let this stupid woman Hong Yanyan continue to make trouble. This stupid woman is very willing to do things. If she really drives her to the point of jumping over the wall, she will definitely die with him. It was because of Hong Yanyan's willingness that she was able to secretly give birth to her son Fu Chaoming without telling him, and then forced Fu Junchen to support both mother and son, treating Fu Junchen as a huge cash machine from which money could be withdrawn at any time. Fu Junchen was afraid that Hong Yanyan would jump over the wall, so he could only comfort her in a low voice, "Don't worry, I will find someone early tomorrow morning to fish Xiaoming out." When Hong Yanyan heard what Fu Junchen said, she felt reassured and said in a coquettish voice, "Hubby, you are the best. When will you come over? I'll make a tonic soup for you." Fu Junchen sneered in his heart, but said sweet words, "You are the most considerate to me. Okay, go to bed early, don't worry, you will wait for my good news tomorrow, be good." Hong Yanyan was so coaxed by him that her voice was so delicate that she said, "Okay, thank you husband, I will wait for your good news at home and give you a kiss, okay." Fu Junchen got goosebumps all over his body when he heard her artificial voice. He cursed the old goblin in his heart before returning to the room. Looking at Li Mei's sleeping face, Fu Junchen breathed a sigh of relief, but also felt a little guilty. There was something on his mind, and he lay in bed tossing and turning, but couldn't fall asleep. Feeling restless, he picked up his cigarette case and lighter and went back to the balcony to smoke. Fu Junchen is now in a very bad mood. He had already figured out Li Mei's temperament, and he got away with it last time by luck. But he had a hunch that he might not be able to pass this hurdle. "I just don't know what means Li Mei will use to deal with him.